Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Peapod. And the angels told me that we're all like those peas in a pea pod. We have the same mindset, we have the same desire to get along with each other, to help each other through our struggles and our challenges in life, and we are fed by the same source. And I love that. I love that whole concept of just the togetherness. And I want to talk about that today. I have a very special, blessed friend with me, and I want to just welcome in Kathleen Caputo. Hello, darling.
Hi, and hi to everybody. Thank you for being here. We just love it
So,
when you come on.
yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Um, I love having you on the podcast because you're so full of wisdom and
Thank
compassion, and you always are extremely peaceful. Every time that we've done a show together, I just get this sense of peace from you. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit. I know that some of what your understanding is of the human spirit and the Hado energy, and we'll talk about
hmm
that. But I'm
hmm
so glad you're here, and I want to finding it. And as you
Thank
come
you.
in, just please share. Just take a moment and send it groups, send it out to a messenger or somewhere on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram, wherever you might be on social media. Just let people know to come in for just a little time together, to be in togetherness and to love on each other and to lift up our world. That's what we do here at the Peapod. So I'm so glad that you all are here. We come together every Tuesday, and I try to have guests on that, like Kathleen, just want peace in our world. And
That's
that
for
is
sure.
part of our mission. And Kathleen, I know that you are supporting us through 10 million for world peace, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Mm,
But right now, I'd just like may not be familiar with you, with Hado Bear, with the concept of Hado, uh, just take a few moments and tell us about you and what you do and
sure.
how you came to that realization and understanding.
Absolutely. Well, it was a long road, like we all have. Uh, I actually was in commercial real estate for over 30 years. And what's so funny, Terry, is that you saying that you're picking up peace from me. And when I was there, I was usually like this most of the time with the stress. And a woman that I worked with came over to me one day. I used to have to notarize everything for people. And she said to me, "You are the most peaceful person in this company." I said, "I don't think so."
Yeah.
But I did, at least from the training I have, to be able to get to that place of peace that we'll talk about. And I had a long journey. Learned about healing and energy healing, but I also became a minister. And I became a minister in a what they call a new thought teaching, not new age, but new thought. And it basically teaches about consciousness. And I learned about how important our thoughts and our words and our beliefs are. And I saw a book one day, and it was called The Hidden Messages in Water. And it was written by Dr. Masaru Emoto back in the 1990s. It was a New York Times best-selling book. And he believed about our thoughts, our words, and our beliefs reflect everything back to us in our experience. And this is what I taught, and it's what I was teaching children so that they didn't have to unlearn being fearful and everything else that maybe a lot of us had to grow up with or did grow up with. Usually with well-meaning people, but they might have still instilled some of their beliefs in us. So Dr. Emoto also believed that water reflects those thoughts and words and beliefs back to us. And he started doing experiments to show that. And he did water experiments that he took a vial of water that said, "You fool," and another one that said, "Thank you." And he left it overnight. And he took a droplet of water out of each one, froze it, and looked at what it came to be after it was frozen. And he saw that the one that was you fool turned into something pretty ugly looking, and something that had thank you on it turned into a beautiful water crystal, just like a snowflake. And he did this with all different words and prayers and water and music. And he wrote this book, and he put all these photos in there of everything that he experienced. So I use this to teach children, because when you tell a child that, well, watch your thoughts and your words because it comes back to you, it's kind of esoteric. They're not going to totally understand that. But when you show them what Dr. Emoto was able to prove through a visual, their mouth drops. It's amazing. So this is what I teach. And this is what I practice as much as I can. We're all in process, but you can always find that peace within you. It's always there. We're made out of the same substance of whatever you call your creator, God, universal intelligence, universal energy, spirit, but we're all connected. And when we can go within, and that's where this creator is, it's everywhere and it's within us. When we can go within and we can find that place of peace, it has a ripple effect. Just like you're throwing a pebble in a lake, it doesn't just stay there, it goes all the way out through the whole lake. And our thoughts and our words and our beliefs also go out. And what Dr. Emoto showed is that if these reflect back to us, and we're all made out of water, can you imagine what those words and thoughts do to us and to others when we're negative, when we're downing ourselves or downing someone else? So the word Hado, I wrote a book called the Hado Bear Secret. And when I met Dr. Emoto, there was a big stuffed polar bear in the window of the of the gift shop that in the hotel. And my friend told me to buy him, and I did. And I made him the subject of my book, and I named him Hado because Dr. Emoto said that Hado is the Japanese word for the vibrational pattern of energy that we're all made out of. So when we live remembering this, our things change in our lives, because we can change the experience by changing our thought, by changing our words, by changing our beliefs, just kind of turning that around. And this to me is the most powerful thing I've ever learned in my life.
Mhm.
And if you look at some of the philosophers, even doctors now, in the Dhammapada, in the Bible, in all different religions and practices, we find that same thing, that our thoughts, our words, and our beliefs are what are reflected back to us.
Yes, if we could just get that, right? If the whole world
Absolutely.
could get on board and understand that fact, it's
Mhm,
a fact. It's not, a concept, a thought. It is an absolute fact that our words are so powerful and our thoughts are powerful. And when we think, I am a spirit, I'm not this body. I use this body. I came here to
mhm.
have this vessel to get around in and have the experiences that I have. But I am spirit. And I think if we could all just every day, even starting first thing in the morning when you wake up, just remind yourself of that. That's what I do. I remind myself,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm,
you're gonna go through some stuff today. There's tired aches and pains probably because as we get older, that's just kind of a given.
mhm.
But just reminding ourselves, starting out in the day, I am spirit. And then let that thought lead you to whatever the experience is. And Kathy, I just love the experiments that Dr.
Emoto.
Emoto did. I started to say
Mhm, yeah,
boy, that's a whole different,
right.
but yeah, the experiments that he did with water, and we can use that. We can do those experiments ourselves. We can
Yeah.
take a water bottle, and what I have done, I have a reusable water bottle that I fill up, and
Mm-hmm.
I put one of my Peace on Earth tour bumper stickers on it,
Yes.
so that that's what's in that water is peace, peace on earth. The the fact that we can do something, we're not just sitting by the sidelines and just waiting for somebody else to do it. And so that energy is going into the water of action steps and what more can I do? But we can all do that. We can write on the bottles, right? We can put words on there. I've seen a lot of people with bottles that are written on, and they write words like love, peace, joy.
I always buy gallons of water because I don't want to drink the water that's comes through the pipes.
Mhm.
Um, it's filled with words. If
Yeah,
you see it, it's just I have everything on there that I want to experience, and it's filled up the whole bottle. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. It makes a difference. And that was what was proven by Dr. Emoto. It's like that does change the energy of the water. And because we are water, as you said,
Hmm.
most water in these bodies, it will change us inside to
Yes.
say those words to ourselves, to say, I
Hmm.
love you, you matter, you're important, you are worthy.
Hmm.
Any of those words, say them to yourselves. You might not want to write on yourself, but but you can certainly speak those words to yourself, and every day make it a habit, right? Just get in
That's
the
for
habit
sure.
of lifting yourself up.
Hmm. I have friends that when I first started in this teaching, they kind of looked at me like, oh, what's she getting into? And now
Right.
they've all followed me. And now I have a group of people that I call my word police, that we
Ah,
very gently remind each other, because I can teach, but quite often something will come out of my mouth that's negative also. And the kids will really get you because
oh,
they keep all of this. And if you don't do what you're saying, they'll call you on it right away. But we'll very gently tell each other, you need to change what you just said, or you need to change what you're thinking. And the other thing I was thinking about now when we were speaking about this is, when we were kids, we said, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. It's not true.
yeah, I know.
It's not true. Because what we say to another, what we say to ourselves, it does a lot. It does an awful lot.
Yes.
So that's what we need to watch.
Yeah, it can hurt worse than physical cuts
Yes,
and
absolutely.
damage because it sticks, and then it comes back up over and over again because, it's there inside of us
Yes.
when that's spoken. And the same thing with us putting ourselves down, you know,
Mm-hmm.
when somebody says, "Oh, I'm so stupid," I say, "Think about what you just said."
Mm-hmm.
Just
That's right.
step back for a moment because, that was a moment of you feeling not worthy, or of you
Mm-hmm.
feeling that you messed up, you made a mistake. We all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We all have things that we're not proud of, decisions that we make and choices that, may not be the best choice at the time, but doesn't mean that we can beat ourselves up for it because that
Yes.
just makes it even worse.
Yes, that's
Right?
for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. One of the things that I learned to teach children is that our experiences are really made from our subconscious mind. Like we were talking about the word stick.
Mhm.
So, what I explained to them is that we have two parts of our mind, the subconscious and the conscious. And I don't use the word unconscious because we're never totally unconscious. So, if you think of an iceberg, and here's the water, and the iceberg is up here. But if you look underneath that water, the iceberg is so much bigger underneath. So what happens is when we're hearing something, let's say our parents said something to us or somebody else, and they said, "Oh, you're stupid," or whatever. That kind of goes into your subconscious mind.
Mhm.
And we normally act from that. Now the conscious mind has dominion over that, and we can actually change that by changing our thoughts about it and negating that. That's not true. That's not my truth. But we
Right.
don't realize sometimes, why are we reliving things that we thought we passed before? It's because that subconscious mind is so big underneath that consciousness. But that, again, that biggest part of it is that we can change that. We can take all of that stuff that's underneath and just get rid of it. That's why I always tell everybody, if you're watching TV and there's all these advertisements on there for pharmaceuticals and about illness, turn it off, turn the volume down. Don't look. They're just planting seeds in your mind
Mhm.
about, oh, you could use this too, when maybe you don't really need anything like that. And you're starting to say, oh, okay, there is illness in the world. And we can change that by
Yeah.
just turning it off and saying, no, it's not my truth.
Mhm. Absolutely. I don't know if they still do it, but I know for a while they were putting subliminal messages in those
Yes.
ads, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you mean, Kathy, when we're being fed that you should have this, you know? You've
Yeah.
got stuff going on
Mm-hmm.
and you need this. So, yeah, I'm with you. I haven't watched TV in decades, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a conscious choice I made because
Yes.
I saw the damage. I saw how addictive it can be, and there's people that are addicted to the news even,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
having to watch it over and over again. It's always the same thing. On any given day, there's
Right.
really nothing new.
Right.
You learn everything you need to know, and then they just keep regurgitating it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a way of also of manipulating us
It's
into
that
just,
constant seed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and being addicted to, okay, what happened? What happened? I need that update. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. And I know there are people that think differently, and there are people that just don't care. I'm going to watch it
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and that's
Yes.
okay. There's no judgment, but it is something to become consciously aware of, that
Mm-hmm.
this is how it works. This is how we're controlled by fear and by that temptation to say, "Oh, what happened? What happened?" and that need to know. But do we really need to know?
No, you'll know if you really need to know something, somehow it'll get to you.
It will. That's what I've
Mhm.
found. Like I said, a couple of decades of not turning news on, and I still know everything that's happening in the world.
Mhm.
I'm not losing out on any
Mhm.
information, because it's, if it's something that is out there for the whole world to know, we're going to know it. We
Mhm.
don't have to sit with our noses in it all the time. I'll get off that soapbox. I want to read what Auntie Jean had to say.
Oh,
She's
okay.
our wise mountaintop guru.
She's
And Jean,
amazing.
thank you for being here. She said, words can kill you for a second, or a minute, or a lifetime if
Very
said
true.
to hurt. Inside, you die for a while. Never say a hurtful thing. I
That's
love
so
that.
true. That's beautiful. Jean, you're amazing. I always say that.
Yeah, I love that. And the other part of that is, again, conscious awareness
Mhm.
that we don't have to take on that energy.
That's right.
If somebody is blasting us, and I've been
Mhm.
through this, I've been there with
Mhm.
the emotional abuse, the mental abuse. If somebody is attacking you with words, you don't have to buy into
No.
what they're saying. And you can always just step away in your mind. You may not be able to leave that conversation or that
Mhm.
physical location, but in your mind, you can step away and say, I choose not to believe that.
Yes.
I choose to know who I am and the
Mhm.
power in me. And the more we're fortified with those I am messages every day, training
Yes.
ourselves, I am
Right.
worthy, I am
Right.
enough, then we're going to be able to do that. We're going to be able to deflect those hurtful words that come at us.
Exactly. Well, the other thing about the mind is that the subconscious mind is like the soil. It has no way of discerning whether what we consider good or bad or big or small or anything like that. Just like the soil, somebody, if a farmer comes along and wants lemon trees, but accidentally put seeds in there for apple trees, the soil isn't going to say, "Hey, Mr. Farmer, please come back. You did this wrong." It's the same thing with our subconscious mind. What we're putting into it, it says, "Okay, that's what you want. We'll just grow that." And the more you think about it, you're energizing it and it's growing even bigger and faster.
Yeah.
And this is what I love to teach children, that they don't buy into that from the very beginning. Because with us, it took a while for me to get past a lot of that.
Yeah, me too, Kathy.
Mhm.
Yeah, our first 7 years are the formative
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
And what we are hearing, and not just the
Mhm.
words, what we're
Mhm.
hearing through attitude and
Mhm.
the concepts, the beliefs that are surrounding us, it
Mhm.
makes a difference. And sometimes it can take the bigger part of a lifetime to come to a realization that
Yep.
I don't have to buy into that anymore. I don't have
That's
to
it.
subscribe to that belief.
Mhm.
Do I really
Mhm.
feel that way? Do I really believe all those things that I was taught in those
Right.
formative years?
Right.
And we have choices. It's our superpower. We have
Mhm.
choices and we make decisions and we have free will to think on our own. So I encourage anyone that is still being triggered by something from those early years, just step away and ask that question of yourself. Just ask, do I still believe that way?
Right.
Or do I buy into that story that was told over and over again?
Mhm.
And sometimes, we do. And sometimes we just are so stuck in that story and we can't see a way out. We can't see that we can change our stories. Uh,
Yeah.
One of my mentors is Lisa Nichols, and I
Mhm.
love her saying that you don't have to go back and erase anything. You don't have to go back and change any of your past. You start from this very moment, this now moment, and you make your story the way you want it to be. And I love that, Kathy. I envision this big whiteboard, and on that whiteboard, I can put anything I want to on there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the only time we have is now.
Mhm.
We're always in the now. Unfortunately, we're always thinking about before. One of the things I had my kids do, the kids in the class, is make a clock, and they put now instead of all of the numbers
Oh, I love
as
that.
as a reminder. All you have is now, and whatever happened in the past, you can deal with it now. It's all you have is from now on. So, like you said, we all have free will. So, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to stay in that? Are you going to be miserable and possibly make everybody else miserable around you? Or are you going to find a way of dealing with it and being able to get past it
Right.
with what you have right now? And a lot
Absolutely.
of that is forgiveness, and realizing that when you forgive someone, that doesn't mean that you're condoning what they did. You're cutting yourself off from that experience if you
Mhm.
can just find a way of doing that. And I think that's a whole big part of all of this too, is forgiveness.
Yes, it certainly is. And like you said, forgiveness, it's something that frees us. It's
Mhm.
not about saying, "Oh, it's okay that you did something
Right.
wrong and
Right.
that you abused me in a certain way." That's not
Mhm.
okay. But forgiveness means I choose to stay in my peace.
Right.
I choose to stay in the knowingness of who I am. And I am a spark of the divine. I have God essence inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And God doesn't judge. So who am I to judge? I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to forgive. Doesn't mean I forget. Doesn't mean that it was right, that it happened.
Right.
I'm choosing to be peaceful. I'm choosing to be kind. And I'm choosing to work toward making a world that works for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're just being pulled down by all of those thoughts of things that went wrong, what kind of world is that we're living in?
That's for sure. My father was abused in every way possible when he was a kid. And I remember as I was growing up, and he would tell us just a little bit about it. And when he saw somebody that said, "Oh, well, I had a bad childhood," he always said, "You know what? You're not a child anymore. And you
Great.
have the ability to choose to have a better life now."
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me. That
Oh,
always stuck with me.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm so glad that he stopped that cycle of
He
abuse.
did. He was the best father you could. I don't know how he did it because he didn't have that as a role model, but he stopped it.
Right. Yeah. It's an awareness.
Mhm.
When we're aware that things that happened to us in our childhood were so demeaning and hurtful, we don't want to pass that on.
No. Mhm.
That saying misery loves company. I don't buy
Mm-mm.
that.
No.
I don't want anybody to be miserable. And I certainly don't want anybody to hurt the way I hurt. So
Mhm.
we can stop that cycle. It is a cycle of abuse, and that's proven over and over again
Yes.
that people who were abused become abusers.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be
Doesn't
the
have to.
case, as your
No.
father proved.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the other things I do to find that peace, in my teaching, we have a certain way of praying just to help you to get to that peace.
Hmm.
And it's got 7 steps. And the first 2 steps are recognizing that creator or God, whatever you want to call it, and affirming that you're one with it, that you were made out of it. And sometimes just doing those 2 steps can bring so much power to us,
Hmm.
realizing that, wow, I have that spirit, that creator in me. And if I'm made out of it, how could I be anything less?
Right. Yeah. Yep. And how would Creator handle this?
Hmm.
How would our Creator handle this situation?
Right.
I love that, just going into that God energy. And I
Hmm.
call it God. A lot of people don't want to hear that word, but
I
I love
know.
hearing the word.
Me too.
That was the word that I knew growing up, that was the higher power. And
Hmm.
yeah, my concept of God has shifted and changed as I've grown older and
Sure.
understand more about the spiritual side of it, as
Yeah.
opposed to a teaching from people that I believe didn't understand fully what it
Hmm.
means to have a higher power. But I choose to see God as loving. And so anytime that I'm being attacked, if I'm being shown a side of somebody that's not very pleasant, I
Hmm.
always ask that question: how would God handle this?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so many of the spiritual teachers, the masters, are able to just look past it and see the good and the God in that person. They wouldn't stay in that. So Jesus, Paramahansa Yogananda, that we both love so much too.
Oh, yeah,
So many of them were able to do that. And if we could practice that, well, the whole world would be so different.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Jean says, forgiveness is the miracle you give yourself. It brings joy and
Right.
love.
That is right.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
that's what Kathy was just mentioning. When you go past anything that's not like love, and you
Mhm.
don't buy into it, and you just say, okay, I'm going to stay in my God essence in this
Mhm.
moment,
Exactly.
no matter what.
And when you do that, I teach kids about a ping pong ball, right, going back and forth. So if somebody lobs something to you that's negative, and then you lob it back, and then they keep going back and forth, somebody's got to stop that game. And if we're aware enough, we can be the ones to do that.
Yeah,
And we can do that for the whole world
right.
to show that. Just stop that game of lobbing all this negativity back and forth.
Yeah, just let it go off the table.
Right.
We do that by letting it just roll off our shoulders.
Hmm.
Again, knowing, fortifying ourselves in the knowledge that we are a spark of the divine, and we don't have to buy into the hurt and the pain
No.
that's being um, directed toward us.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
great
Exactly.
insight. And I love that you are teaching the kids this. The kids are our future. And I believe that if we can start them young and show them by example, but also to teach them the
Hmm.
skills, teach
Hmm.
them the tools that they can pull on if there's a bully that may be just relentless against them. Teach them that,
Yes.
let it just roll off your shoulders and not buy into it. I think it would be a whole different thing happening in our schools. I really
Most
do.
definitely. I just was part of an author night at one of the local schools.
Mhm,
And when I do that, I have big boards of Dr. Emoto's experiments.
mhm.
And when the kids come over, I explain it to them. And they're so interested. There was one young man the other day. Oh, he wanted to know everything about it. He stayed there for a long time talking to me about consciousness and about his thoughts. And he was maybe 8, 9. He was a young boy. But when they see it, they're very, very impressed with what Dr. Emoto did. So that's why I love bringing all that stuff with me. It attracts them right away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're interested. And just like the land blessings that
Yes.
I conduct with the Peace on Earth tour,
Hmm.
there is an app called Kakori app that
Yes.
the schools
Hmm.
have access to, and
Hmm.
the land blessings are on that app.
Oh, they
So,
are. Wow.
yes, so any child that's exposed to that can do
Hmm.
their own land blessing. It has all the steps. It tells them what it's about, that you're asking for peace to be wherever you are, and gives them the tools where they can go in and do it themselves and ask for peace in their lives and peace in their part of the world. So I love that that's one of the things that's included in that, and that kids can do a land blessing.
Now, can individuals go on that, Terry? Like
On
anybody, or is
Kakori,
it for the
yeah,
schools?
anybody can participate with the app. Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
I'd love to see that, what you did. That's wonderful. Very good. I was blessed that I was with you when you were in the Hamptons
Hmm.
to be at the school when you did that. I had a
Yeah,
lot of children there. They loved it.
yeah, we had over 300 children there,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was interesting because I just had a thought. My human ego had a thought. Well, what if they're fidgety? What if they're just being disrespectful or talking
Mhm,
and not
mhm.
paying attention as we do this? And boy, was I wrong,
Yeah.
because they were the most attentive 300 kids
Mhm.
I've ever seen. And they
Yes.
were so interested in this peace pole that is theirs now. It's there.
It's always
They,
gonna be there
yeah,
for many years. It's great.
yeah.
See,
We
and
had,
that's the thing that any of us could do that.
yeah,
We all have the ability to bring peace in
yeah.
this world, and it doesn't have to be anything what we consider big or small. It could be talking to one person, and it makes a big
Mhm.
difference.
It does. Yeah. I have a bumper sticker on my car that says Peace on Earth Tour. And
Mhm.
I see so many people looking at it as I'm walking toward my car if I'm in the parking
Uh-huh.
lot. And some people have asked what it's all
Mhm.
about. What is that? I do have door magnets that say it,
Mhm.
but I don't know. There's something with this car they don't want to stick on this car.
Oh.
I don't know why. And so they're just kind of sitting there, not being used right now. But the bumper sticker definitely does get attention.
Mhm.
Yeah. We have
Absolutely.
we have Blue Jean with us. And
Hiya, Blue.
so when we were talking about people that can be mean and nasty and try to inflict their energy on us, she said, I'm going through this exact scenario with a tenant, letting it roll
Um,
off our shoulders. Just because you're invited into that type of energy does not mean you have to go. Great confirmation for me.
yeah, that's wonderful, Blue. Yeah.
So glad. So glad that you tuned in today. And yeah, that's it's a choice we make. We can engage or we can say, nope, not today.
Mhm. Mhm. I think I told you kind of in that vein is that when I was in commercial real estate, I had to deal with this one woman who was in the residential department. And for whatever reason, she always pressed my buttons. Every day I had to talk to her. And I finally said, this, I'm the only one that's going to be able to change this.
Hmm.
And I decided that before I picked up the phone to talk to her, I would work on myself. And all of a sudden, everything was fine between us. We weren't arguing anymore. And what was really funny, about 2 weeks later, she left the company. So I said, "Really? That was a big deal." But I knew she wasn't gonna change, and I had to be the one,
Hmm.
because then I would have a different response from her.
Right. Yeah. You let your God light shine,
I did,
and
yes, yeah.
light always wins over darkness. Always.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Kathy, I know that you have an organization that's a nonprofit, and
Mhm.
I'm going to put the link up for
Oh,
anybody who would
thank
like
you.
to check that out. Tell us about
Mhm.
Source of Guidance.
Yeah, source of guidance is really based upon Hado Bear. And what I do, it's for children that are seriously ill or have medical challenges or are maybe on the spectrum, or even children that do something really kind for other people. But mainly it's for children that are seriously ill. And I usually contact the parents and I send them a book, an autographed book that teaches children that we're all different, but we're all perfect just the way that they are. So that if they have any kind of I don't like the word disability, a different ability,
Hmm.
or if they're ill or something like that, that no matter what, they're still perfect. Always be kind. And I also talk to them about how to change their thoughts and their words and what to do to make themselves feel better. So I send them the book. I have a baby Hado Bear stuffed animal that we send them as a comfort animal. I think they're all superheroes,
Hmm.
including the parents. And I send them a Hado Bear superhero membership certificate. And I also have an app that makes the bear talk. Well, that's his secret. He talks. And
Right. The
he
cat's out of the bag.
don't tell anybody. Shh, don't tell any child.
We won't tell. We won't tell anybody.
Okay. But I'll send them a video that Hado Bear does talking to them, and I find out what the child likes. So I talk about that. I give them some tips on what it's like to be a superhero and what to do and how to make themselves feel better. And I'll also mention any siblings that they have so they don't feel left out. So that's really a source of guidance. Um, I have a program for some hospitals where they can actually have a big Hado Bear that they could give a child on an iPad, and so we're revamping that right now. And so I'd like to get that into hospitals, but thanks to Charlie Coons, he got a lot of books and bears and brought it out to Stony Brook Hospital, and he's done this a couple of times. And he's been a real angel to a lot of people
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. He has a heart of gold,
Hmm.
and his heart is with those kids. So
Yes,
I'm so happy
exactly.
that there's
Exactly.
that collaboration with the two of you, because I know you
Absolutely.
both have nonprofit organizations,
Hmm.
and I love it when there's a synchronicity and working together to
Yeah.
get the same goal, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So, yeah,
thank you
Hado
for
Bear
sharing
is a huge stuffed animal. He's 3.5 feet tall. He's almost as big as me,
Wow.
and the kids love. They love it. One of the things about letting children like be themselves and giving them the way of growing up and being positive. When I do a baby naming or a baptism now, I actually have vows that the parent says to the child.
Oh, I love
And one of
that.
the things is that they will allow the child to be who they are and that they will always teach them to be positive. So if we can all do that, that would really make a difference.
That would put a big dent in
Mhm.
all of the stuff that's going
Mhm.
on, wouldn't it? And help more children to really express themselves in
Yeah,
a real way.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
what beautiful work you do, Kathleen. Thank you so much for all you do in the world.
Well,
And thank you for your dedication and your support of Peace on Earth. And that I've got a
absolutely.
couple of avenues right now that people can support that. I have the
Mhm.
Peace on Earth tour that's coming up on being 3 years old. We're
Wow.
we're a toddler now. We're no longer a baby, and and it just feels so good to for that to keep going. And
Mhm.
I just recently did a land blessing in Nevada, and it was an absolutely beautiful part of the world. So I know that those stones that were placed there will carry that beauty to other parts of the world and communicate through the grid that's being created.
Mhm.
And then we have our 10 million for world peace.
Yes.
What a beautiful, exciting thing that's happening. And we have a lot of traction that's happening with 10 million for world peace. A lot of people that are jumping on board to volunteer, to
Mhm.
donate. Marbeth just did a birthday fundraiser and had the funds being dedicated
Mhm.
to our new
Right.
nonprofit organization.
Right.
And it is a nonprofit. So anytime you donate to a nonprofit, it's a tax write off that you
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people were aware of that. So both of my organizations, Angel Speakers, which is what the Peace on Earth tour goes through,
Mhm.
and 10 Million for World Peace, they're both nonprofits. And the whole goal is to work together and bring more peace into our world. And all
Exactly.
the things that you have talked about today, and the awarenesses that you have shared with us from Dr. Emoto's work, from your own work, and the love that you have in your heart for the children that you're helping, that's all working together to bring more peace in our world.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
And thank you. I'm always telling everybody about you and about how wonderful it has been to know you and to the whole group that you've brought together, that whole river family. And we are a family and
Yes.
care about each other so much and pray for each other. And every day it's really an amazing thing, Terry, that you put together. Thank you.
It really is. We've been going for over 3 years now,
Mhm.
way past 3 years, and still going strong.
Yeah.
And that's because it's God centered. It's because,
Hmm.
there's no ego involved that says, hey, look at me. It's looking at each other and seeing ourselves mirrored in those that we're surrounded by.
Yeah.
And being that Peapod, being that little pea in the Peapod, that everybody's the same. There's
Yes.
there's no hierarchy. The angels told me a long time ago there's no hierarchy amongst the angels, the ascended masters. There's
Hmm.
none of that competition and comparison that we do with the human ego. And that, to me, this angelic river family, it really does show that. It
Hmm.
shows that we all see each other as one, and we all
Yes.
see each other as like-minded and as the same, and nobody having to, run the show. We're all
Hmm.
we all do it together, and I
Yes.
I just love that. So thank you for your kind words, and thank you to all of you who show up
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Uh, Facebook user, I don't know who that is, which says love to you both and love the words of wisdom from you both. That's beautiful. So thank you, whoever you are.
Yeah, it
Appreciate
must
that.
be somebody that's watching it in the group,
Uh-huh.
because I don't know why. If you're on um, like my timeline or Enlightened World or any of those pages, we're able to see names. But if you come in on the 10 million group, it just
Oh,
says
okay.
Facebook user, and I'm just
Hmm.
looking now. So that's Jim or Sean. That's our
Oh, is
beautiful
it?
Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. Hi, thank you so much. And Sophia
Great.
Rico is here. Hope
Yes.
Wellington Marshall is here.
I hope.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you all for being with us today.
that's great.
Yeah, so beautiful. So, if you want to get involved in any of the things we discussed today and helping Kathy promote her message through Hado Bear to reach more children, that's a huge mission, and goes a long way toward bringing in more peace in our world, and a world that's sustainable, that'll be here for those children and their children and generations to come. Then I hope you wrote down the link. Let me go ahead and put it back up there. So it's sourceofguidance.org. And Kathy, can they find out through there how to reach you, or do they need
Yes,
to
they
go to Hado Bear?
can. And if you wanted the book, you can go on to hadobear.com and there's a link directly to Amazon. And it tells you all about the book and about Hado Bear and me, mostly about Hado Bear.
Yes. And if you want to give a gift to a child or an adult, you know, we're children too. We're children at heart.
That's for sure.
Reach out to Kathy, and you can give a gift to a child. It might turn that child into really thinking about what does it mean to be here on this earth, and what does it mean to be kind, because Hado is so kind and shows that kindness. So I think that's a great gift. If you have somebody with a birthday coming up, Kathy will do a message to that child.
And I will do birthday messages too. That's exactly what I do. Yes. And so many people in our group have done that.
Hmm.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also for children, they don't have to be in a hospital. If there's a child
No,
going through
no.
something, this would
Yeah.
be a great way to lift them up.
That's why I have a Facebook page also. It's a private page. You'd have to join. It's Hado Bear Kids Club. And on there, I'll put on things I find about a child that did something really special or kind. We'll put them on there, and we'll send them the same thing that we send to children in the hospital because they deserve it too.
They do. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a beautiful message. So reach out to Kathy and get more of this beautiful woman in your life. Love you dearly, and thank you for being here
Love you
today.
too.
Yeah,
Love you
and
all.
looks like I have some connection issues that are starting up, and I'm glad they
Uh
waited until the end of the show to do so. So I just want to thank you all for being here, and thank you for tuning in today.
oh.
Thank you, Kathleen, for coming on with me and sharing from your heart, um, explaining what Hado is all about. And now that we know, let's all keep that spirit inside of us geared toward kindness, and love and peace in
That's
our
it.
world.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'll be back next week with the Peapod. I'll have a different guest on, somebody I think you're really going to love. Her name is Ellen, and she is going to share with us about labyrinths. So
Ooh.
tune in next week. If you don't know what a labyrinth is, if you've never walked one, and she has something special, I'll just tease you with that. Something that you don't have to go find one. And I know Jean Lorio knows what I'm talking
Mm.
about. So tune in next week and you'll know what we're talking about. So thank you all so much for being here. And just as a reminder, every Sunday at 1:11 Eastern Time, 1:11 p.m. Eastern Time, we do a peace meditation for world peace, for the 10 million for world peace. So join us there as well. Thank you, everyone. So much love to you. Stay in your hearts and stay blessed. That's where the blessings are, in your heart. And then put that smile on your face, because Marietta reminds us that spirit magnifies incredible loving energy,
Right.
and show that smile to others. So much love, everyone. And I hope
Namaste.
you have a great rest of your day or night. And namaste, y'all. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Thank you.
Kathleen. Thank you so
Bye.
much.